areas of parallelograms and triangles. First of all, let's get the theorems and terms out of the way. Theorem 10-1, area of a rectangle. The area of a rectangle is the product of its base and height. Area equals base times height.
Theorem 10-2, area of a parallelogram. The area of a parallelogram is the product of a base and the corresponding height. A equals B times height.
A base of a parallelogram can be any one of its sides. The corresponding altitude is a segment perpendicular to the line containing that base, drawn from the side opposite that base. The height is the length of an altitude. Theorem 10-3, area of a triangle. The area of a triangle is half the product of a base and the corresponding height. Area equals half base times height. A base of a triangle can be any one of its sides. The corresponding height is the length of the altitude to the line containing that base. The first problem we will be going over can be found on workbook page 251. It is number 5. In this problem, we have to find the area of the given parallelogram. I'll now draw it. Okay, so we know the formula for the area of a parallelogram is area equals base times height. Well, since we know this is a parallelogram, we know the side opposite of this 2.5 inches is also 2.5 inches. So let's plug that into the base. Area equals 2.5 times the height. Now, the height is the corresponding altitude of that base. So in this case, it would be 4.8 inches. When we multiply these two numbers, you'll end up with 12 inches. What you have to remember is 12 inches squared because you're squaring the units also. We will now move on to problem 2.
The second problem can be found on workbook page 251, number 9. In this problem, we are to find the value of h for the parallelogram drawn. As you can see, h is here, which turns out to be an altitude intersecting the base 9.5. Since we don't know the area of the parallelogram, we are not able to figure out what the altitude is. So to find the altitude, h, we must find the area of the parallelogram. So, as you can see, we are given the altitude 4, and the base 3.8, which we can use to find the area. So if you use the formula, area equals base times height, and just plug in your numbers. And that will equate to 15.2 units squared. Now, to solve for h, which is the height or altitude, we can use the base 9.5 and we just plug in our numbers. So we know the area is 15.2 equals the base, which is 9.5, times the height. And so all we have to do is divide 9.5 on both sides, which turns out to be 1.6 units. And there's your answer.
We will now move on to problem 3, which can be found on workbook page 251, number 15. The question asks us to find the area of the triangle. Well, first we have to remember the theorem, which tells us what the area of a triangle really is, which is area equals half the base times the height, or area equals base times height divided by 2. So, now we have to distinguish what is the height, what is the base. Let's pick 5.5 meters as our base. Now, we know to pick 5.5 meters because that's the actual distance from the altitude to this base. This extra 5 meters is unnecessary. If we enter this equation into a calculator, you will end up with area equals 28.6 meters squared. That is your final answer. This concludes lesson 10-1. We would just like to remind you that although this might be a simple lesson, it's important to remember these theorems because the complexity of the lessons progresses as you go on in the book. So these are actually essential for use in further lessons in the chapter.
You're welcome.